Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Straight Up with MS and all its crazy little circles here on MS&Me Radio, brought to you by the MS Global Support Network. I'm your host, Patty Long, and you can find me at MSNit for Life, and I spell that MSENIT, the number 4, LIFE, and I am on Twitter. And yes, I am back online. If you search for me and you search on hashtag ChatMS, you'll definitely find me on there again. And I am so thrilled that I'm back on hashtag ChatMS. It was fun Monday night. I got to see and talk with a lot of my old friends that I haven't talked with in a long time. And, you know, it's just such a great group. I encourage everybody to take part in it. They do have a Facebook group as well, but, you know, on the Facebook group, I don't think you have the same sort of interaction that you do. Because everybody's just talking to each other. So it's an actual chat on Twitter. And that's what makes Twitter so much fun, is that it's an actual conversation with somebody. And so that, anyways, I really like it. And I do have a lot of conversations with people on there. At Truth Be Told MS, they're really big on there. Marie is awesome, and of course Randy Patrick, who hosts at Chat MS, unless he has a guest host. He's awesome on there as well, and there's just so many, and Penelope, and if you haven't found Penelope, she does the funniest stuff. You know, it's all about what really actually happens when you have MS. And if you look at it the right way, it truly is funny, you know, and she finds that humor in it. And I think that is awesome. And, you know, that's how we actually live well with MS, is instead of crying about it, finding the funny part of it. You know, and I know that sounds kind of mean, but it's true. If you find the funny in it, then it's bearable, it's livable, it's even fun. And it's not that the disease itself is fun, but you have fun. Your life, it becomes fun. So find the funny in your MS, and I've said that before, and I will continue to say that, and I guess it's my right to have that opinion. And Penelope definitely shares that opinion, as well as many others out there in the community who are living good lives. And I think it's important, because we can be very bitter, and you want to get rid of that bitter, and then you can have a good life. And you just do. I mean, you can't have one and the other. You can't be bitter and have a good life. It just doesn't work that way. So get rid of the bitter and embrace the funny, and live well. You know, I can't give any better advice than that, other than getting rid of all those sourpusses in your life, and people that don't believe in you, and want to think that you shouldn't even try, and stuff like that, you know. which brings me to what I actually wanted to talk to you guys about. Because I wasn't just going to fuss at you today. Because one of the things, and it kind of started at chat on, blah, 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 at hashtag chat MS, but it kind of has gone past that. And you know, when I first started out with MS, I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. My MRIs were awful. They were bright white. I didn't have one that wasn't bright white. The disease was everywhere in my brain. There was not a single section of my brain that was left out. No matter where you went, you know, how far in, how far out. It didn't matter what section of the brain you were in, it was bright white. The reports all said lesions too numerous to count. And many years later, when I had brains enough to find out what that meant, I was told that meant more than 40. So I don't, who knows? Now I do know that that was just the brain. That didn't include the orbits. Now I know I had lesions in my orbits. Both eyes were affected. My right eye was full-blown optic neuritis, and by full-blown I mean complete solid blindness. Nothing. No little bits, but nothing. And my left eye was black and white. So I had full-blown optic neuritis in one eye and partial in the other. And so there's more lesions there. And then I had lesions in my spine, according to my doctor, but there was no need for him to actually do an MRI of my spine because he could tell that based on the fact that I had lost the use of both legs equally and both arms equally. And this was in my first attack. Now, I had some 14 attacks. I also had medically defined progression in between attacks. I had been told at the very beginning that there was no way possible for me to make it past 2 years without a wheelchair. No way. None. I refused. I said no. And when I was told it was time and that I needed one, I said, why? I don't go anywhere. I have no arms, so I can't make it go. What do you want me to do? Sit in that damn chair, excuse me, but sit in the dang chair all day long doing nothing? No, thank you. So I refused. How did I get around? I crawled. I used walls. I ran into things. I used furniture. I used my dog. My dog was a big help, actually. My dog Hachi, he was so funny. He would push me in the direction I needed to go. And he would wiggle up underneath me and pull me around. And I mean, he just knew. So he was a big help. But my goal every day was just to make it to the front porch and go outside. That was purely my goal. And I would go out there. And then when it came springtime, my goal was to dig a pond. And I did this with the claw end of a broken hammer because I couldn't use a shovel. And then I found a little spade shovel and I used the little bitty shovel some, but honestly, it was hard to use that, so I used the hammer more. We have red clay. And I was a muddy mess. But it was something I wanted to do because I had this baby turtle and this baby turtle needed a home. And the baby turtle gave me a purpose, a goal. You know, he needed a home. So I dug. But I didn't take the wheelchair. I went out there and dug. So he kept me going, you know? And I did. I kept on going. And then I was told that I had lesions on my brainstem. And not just one. I had more than one. And lesions on your brainstem are really bad things, you know, and I was told not to look it up, which I didn't have brains enough to look it up back then. I honestly didn't. I mean, I had no thinking skills at all. I mean, y'all think I circle now? I know I circle now, and I know I go off track and on tangents and do all this funky stuff, but you know, back then I couldn't even read a story or a paragraph or write a sentence. I mean, back then it was really, really bad, you know, and I'm told that I have these lesions, these new lesions that just appeared, and I talked to my sister. So, Mom and Dad, I'm sorry. I don't think I ever told you, but yes, I had lesions on my brainstem. And I talked to my sister about it. And she's on her computer looking it up as we're talking. And she says, oh, no, you don't want to look it up. You don't want to look it up. And I said, no, I didn't think I did. And so, but I couldn't have even if I'd wanted to. So anyways, then I was told right after that I'd be bedridden by my 5th year from the time I had been diagnosed. No, I'm almost to year 2, which is when I'm going to be forced, because he's amazed that I'm already, you know, I haven't already accepted the wheelchair that, you know, because that time 20-foot test, you know, it's like 5 minutes for me. So he's amazed that I haven't already accepted it. But I haven't, because other than the doctor's office visit, I don't go anywhere. I don't do anything except for try and make it to the front porch. That's the only thing I did. So, and it stayed the only thing I did for a long time. And about 14 attacks later, from the time I started, I still hadn't accepted a wheelchair. I'd been put in one on several occasions, but I hadn't accepted one for me personally to own. And I had found a doctor who would help me. and that was Dr. English at the MS Center of Atlanta, the one who I went and saw January 8th. And he put me on a medication that stopped the constant attacks. Now, I got lucky that the first medication that he chose, and yes, he chose to start me on this one based on my history, based on my lab results, based on everything I had told him, because the doctor's office that I was at, that I had to fight with to get the referral from, wouldn't send any records to. Although I did go and get my MRIs. But based on that, he decided this one. But he had 3 others as backups in case this one didn't do the trick. But we got lucky, and the first one he chose did the trick. And I had my last attack, which finished wiping out my core. Thank you very much, last attack. But the last attack, before this medication had a chance to fully protect me, I had just started it. I think I had been on half a dose, because you started at the half dose level, and this one was a pill. Thank God it was a pill. But I had been on a half a dose, and for maybe a week or 2 when I had my last attack. So last attack over, and I had already been enrolled in physical therapy. Actually, I had been enrolled in this was my 3rd place, because I went to the other 2 and went once or twice and was like, I'm not coming back, and got a new order. And my doc's like, why do you keep needing new orders? And I'd tell him what happened, and he'd be like, okay, and he'd give me another new order, and I'd go to a new place. No, this ain't it. So I'd go to another new place, and 3rd one was the charm. So I stayed there. Now, physical therapy became my job, and it was really empowering when Allie told me, because I had come in one day, and I already did my exercises religiously. I mean, it was not easy. I couldn't do anything. I could not, when I came in there, I couldn't walk. I couldn't hold my arms up. I could barely sit up. And I mean barely sit up. I was like lumped over. I didn't have any memory. I couldn't carry on a conversation at all. I remember somebody telling me I was like talking to a potato. I remember somebody telling me I was like squirrel all the time. And, all this kind of stuff. And my appointments were supposed to be 30 minutes. But they would give me over an hour. And, I didn't have any bladder control, so what I did for that, no, I didn't go buy diapers. I went to the bathroom every hour. Every hour, I went to the bathroom. I had an alarm set. I went to the bathroom. My clock on my phone, it tells me what time it is. So every hour, you go to the bathroom. Every hour, you go to the bathroom. And you train yourself to go to the bathroom every hour. And that's what you do. You just retrain. I said last time 50 million, but I meant 50 billion. You make all these synapses, all these connections in your brain, and they all circle around in your brain. There's 50 billion of them plus that you make when you're growing up with all your experiences and all your memories and everything you do and how to move and all this stuff. There's 50 billion of them up there running around throughout your central nervous system. Okay? So all you got to do is make some new ones. And this physical therapy, this was my job, doing this physical therapy to make these new ones. And by making these new ones, and they rerouted around and next to the bad spots. Okay, so now, after doing that for years and years, and this becoming my job, and her telling me that this was my job on a day that I felt really crappy because people were telling me that I got free money. And I was this bad, and I hurt nonstop, people. Nonstop. My back, my legs, my arms, my head. Well, my head, But, I hurt everywhere. I couldn't feel things. And I was so angry. And you know what? I use anger. I use the crap out of anger. I use anger to my advantage. I use it to stomp. I use it to work hard. I use anger. I make anger work for me. And I do. And you know what stomping does? Stomping helps your body feel. And I feel and I swear to God this is true, I feel the parts of my legs that I do feel, I feel them because I stomp. And I do stomps best when I'm angry. So I do these exercises. And these exercises, as crazy as it sounds, is why I went from having lesions just in the brain section, not in all the other sections, but just in the brain section that were too numerous to count, to two little ones, apparently, because it only might be MS. But, from well over 40. And I mean well over 40 because it was ridiculous. And there was always more and more and more and more and more popping up. And the MRI that showed the lesions in my brainstem was, again, just the one of the brain, which only shows a tiny little bit of your brainstem. Because your brainstem it only shows the very tip top, like in a oval shape, maybe circular. But it's I don't know. It's more. It looked more ovally shaped than circular shaped to me when I was looking at the MRI. But my vision's really skewed and off, so I'm not really sure. But in any case, you only see the tip top. And I haven't had one of my spine, so I don't know, because that's when you would find it is when you do the upper part of your spine and then the middle section of your spine, and then they do the 3 sections. So that's when you would see that. But it's crazy that there were more than one that they could see in that section of my brain. But yeah, now they only see 2. So this is the thing, though. You have to have your disease inactive. And I'm not saying don't work out while it's active, because I do believe that really helps even while it's active, because I would have been even worse off had I given into it while I was having those 14 attacks and progression in between. So, I would have, and I know I would have. Um, and I always used anger to my advantage. And, you know, I don't know how you separate anger and stress, but somehow it seems I do. I mean, I kind of do. I don't know how, but I kind of do. And I stomp it out a lot now, but back then I couldn't stomp. Now I did dig it out. I had that claw hammer, and I would scrape it out, I guess you would say, because I just flop over and scrape the dirt. I've got to find those pictures and post them of me so muddy with my tools as I scrape this dirt. I mean, it really was a huge workout for me, and it took me months and months and months and months and months. But in any case, I've forgotten what I was going to say. But I got my turtle at home, though. But yeah, I use the anger to my advantage on working out. I do. It like gives you that anger energy. And I don't know. Anger is not a good emotion if you just let it fester, that's for sure. But if you get it out in a healthy way, because everybody gets angry. And that's what I do, I think. I just get it out in a healthy way. And that healthy way for me is through exercise. And exercise doesn't have to be boring. It can be play, which is always good. So y'all, don't believe in the crystal ball. I love you guys. It's time to go. So till next time, smile big, smile often, laugh a lot, and most importantly, love yourselves. And remember, there's no crystal ball. Bye, y'all.